Are you staring at your PTE score report again, seeing that same number, maybe a 65, maybe a 68, and just feeling completely, utterly stuck? You know your English is good, right? But that jump to 79 plus feels impossible. Well, you're not alone. And I'm here to tell you the secret isn't just grinding out more practice. It's a very specific scientific strategy that zeroes in on one single kingmaker task: write from dictation. Okay, let's get into it. Here's our game plan for smashing that 79 plus barrier. First, we'll expose the brutal math of the scoring trap. Then, we'll dive into the science of why our brains kind of struggle with this task. After that, I'll show you a powerful protocol called the Sigma listening pipeline, reveal the one habit you absolutely cannot skip, and finally, we'll build a smart practice loop so you're always improving. So, this is the big question, isn't it? Getting a 65 shows you've got a solid handle on English, but hitting 79 plus, that's a whole different beast. It really feels like you're hitting a wall. And for so many people, that wall is right from dictation. The crazy part is, the reason has almost nothing to do with how big your vocabulary is. That's it, right there. This isn't a language problem, it's a strategy problem. You don't need to learn more English, you need to learn how to master the test's algorithm. You have to stop practicing more and start practicing smarter. And that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. First things first, we have to understand just how unforgiving the scoring system is. This is where most people bleed points without even knowing it, because for this task, it's a game of nothing less than absolute perfection. The AI score is just brutally simple. Look at this. You get exactly 1 point for every single word that is correct, spelled correctly, and in the right spot. There's no such thing as partial credit. A tiny typo, 0 points for that word. A word in the wrong place, 0 points. This means that small, easy to miss words like the, and is are worth just as much as a complex word like photosynthesis. And this slide just says it all. On the left, you've got a typical 65 score attempt. You got the main idea, right? But you missed two tiny little words, is and the. To the AI, that's a disaster. That's 2 points gone instantly. A sentence that feels almost perfect gets you a 6 out of 10. But the 79 plus execution on the right, it's flawless. Every single word, every single time. That's the game we have to play. Okay, so why? Why do we make these tiny, crushing mistakes when we're under pressure? It's not because you're not focusing hard enough. It's actually a biological limitation of our brains, and once you understand it, you can start to work around it. This is the core science right here. Just think of your working memory as the RAM on your computer. It's super fast, but it can only handle a few things at once, usually about 7 items. Now, when a PTE sentence throws 10, 12, even 14 words at you, you're literally pushing your brain past its factory settings. So here's what's actually happening inside your head. The part of your brain that processes sound is called the phonological loop. And the thing is, it just can't do two complicated things at once. Trying to listen to the end of a sentence while your fingers are trying to type the beginning, it creates this massive cognitive traffic jam. One of those tasks is guaranteed to fail. You'll either miss the new words or make typos in the old ones. And you want to know the scary part? The information you're trying so hard to hold on to is incredibly fragile. It literally starts to disappear within seconds. This isn't you being forgetful, it's just how our memory is wired. Without a system to capture it, the end of the sentence literally pushes the beginning right out of your mind. So if cognitive overload is the enemy, what's the weapon? Well, the solution is to engineer a system that manages that load for you. I call it the Sigma listening pipeline, and it's designed to turn the pure chaos of dictation into a calm, controlled process. The pipeline is a simple 4-step process. Step 1, you get ready. Pen, cursor, ready to go. Step 2 is the absolute game changer. While the audio is playing, you only listen and take notes. Your hands do not touch the keyboard. You dedicate 100% of your brain power to just listening. Step 3, the second the audio stops, you type everything out from your notes and your short-term memory. And step 4 is your final defense. Now, for taking notes, there are 2 main scientific ways to do it. The first letter method is super fast, and it helps you catch every single word, which is obviously key for a perfect score. The only risk, you might look down and have no idea what C stood for. The other method, chunking, is about grouping words by meaning. It's amazing for memory because you remember the idea of the sentence, but it can be a little slower. The 79 Plus Pro knows which method works for them to make sure they grab every last one of those tiny point-scoring words. Okay, so you've typed out the sentence. the test is not over. In fact, the most important part is just beginning. This isn't just a quick scan, it is a systematic, non negotiable habit that I call the golden 10 seconds. And I'm telling you, this is the protocol that personally got me over the 79 plus line. It's that crucial. This is not just proofreading. This is a surgical strike. You are actively hunting for the 5 most common point killers. Plurals, that final S sound is so easy to miss. Articles, those tiny little words worth a full point. Verb tense, did you hear an ED at the end? Obvious typos. And finally, the easy ones, capital letter at the start, period at the end. You have to train this into a reflex. So, why do we keep making the same kinds of mistakes? A lot of the time, it's because of our native language, our L1. It's called interlingual interference. For instance, research on Persian speakers learning English shows a really common error is messing up singular versus plural nouns. That's because the rules are just different in Persian. By knowing your own language's quirks, you can actually predict your most likely mistakes in English. And look at this data. It shows you just how big a deal this is. Research found that a staggering 80% of writing errors came from this negative transfer from the student's first language. Only about 20% were mistakes made just within the rules of English. What this means is that analyzing your own common errors isn't just a good idea, it's the single most effective thing you can do to improve. All right, finally, let's turn this entire strategy into a system for true mastery. Because being a top performer isn't just about knowing the right strategy on test day, it's about building it into your brain with a data driven, adaptive practice system that actually gets smarter as you use it. And this brings us to the science of practicing smart. This data here comes from a really cool machine learning study on a flashcard app. What it shows is that an algorithm can use your performance, like how well you think you remembered something, to predict the absolute perfect moment to show it to you again, right before you're about to forget it. This whole principle is called adaptive spaced repetition. So instead of just practicing random sentences over and over, an algorithm figures out the exact ideal moment for you to review a specific word or phrase. It is hands down the most efficient way to get information into your long-term memory. You stop wasting time on stuff you already know and focus only on what's about to slip away. And this is how you put all that science into practice. A tool like the Sigma PTE dashboard doesn't just give you a pass or fail. It actually quantifies your performance. It tracks your specific personal error patterns. Maybe you have a high plural error rate, or you always forget the punctuation. It identifies that weakness and then gives you targeted exercises to fix that exact problem. This makes your improvement something you can actually measure and predict. When it comes right down to it, getting that 79 plus score means you have to evolve. You have to stop being just a good English speaker and start being a master of the test itself. You have to understand the machine you're dealing with and learn to give it exactly what it's programmed to reward: cold, hard precision. This entire framework, from managing your brain's cognitive load to using adaptive technology, is all about making that one crucial shift. It's about intelligent, targeted practice that actually respects your time.